Talk about those warrior elephants in the room. Where do they go? Did they all leave? Can we downgrade them to Dibs, maybe ants in the hot tub? That's what I was dealing with yesterday. I mean, I don't know.
I think they're mice in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They're not quite ants in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Until you get above 500, I'd say mice in the kitchen right now.
Okay.
You know they're there, and you set traps, and you haven't caught them all, and then you go to bed, and you hear a little bit of that skittering, and a little bit of dropping still.
Oh, yeah.
But, you're 8 and 9. There's still something going on.
I think so. By the way, Austin just called, and thank you, Austin. And you can reach us, of course, at 888-957-9570. Austin was asking about the Warriors kind of emulating some of Steph's careless turnovers. Are they getting carried away with that? Turnovers are definitely an issue. But as far as Steph goes, he had one turnover last night. As far as the shooting has been incredible, but Steph Curry with 15 assists and one turnover, that's incredible.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is the adjustment on, I think, what Austin was saying about the one-handed passes and just the general carelessness with the basketball, the reckless passes. He seems like he's doing that a lot less in terms of just trying for the home run pass.
Yeah.
A 15-to-1 ratio is incredible. And
it is.
You could see early on that maybe it's because of the meeting, but they all wanted to kind of get Clay going. They wanted to feed Clay, get Clay comfortable. Steph deferred early in that game, and it obviously helped his assist total, and it helped Clay get off.
I think the most encouraging sign from the last two games, as we said on the changeover, is the fact that the Warriors, the last two games since they had the meeting about the elephants, or whatever the nature of the critters is, they discussed everything going on with Clay, and then they were playing last two games, sharing the ball, playing Warrior basketball offensively. So is this a thing, Dibs? Last night, you had Clay with 10 threes, Curry with 7, Wiggins with 6 threes, most combined threes by a trio in NBA history.
That's something, yeah, especially when Wiggins adds a very quiet 6 threes, which it's only quiet because you had Steph with 7 and Clay with 10. 23 threes between three guys. It's remarkable, but we do all have to remember that was Houston. So let's slow down a little bit.
You're absolutely
Houston
right.
starting two 20-year-olds and a 19-year-old. That was basically like taking on the G League Ignite in terms of the relative inexperience. So it was great. I'm not discounting it, but you do have to give some perspective to the fact that Houston is maybe the worst team in the West, maybe the worst team in all of basketball. And by the way, you had to gut that one out.
Yes.
That thing was in doubt.
You're right. You're right.
Into the final minute. So it's great. 127, most threes by a trio in NBA history. But you needed a couple of late buckets for Steph to be able to give him the night-night.
Houston has some nice players. Şengün didn't have a very good night. Looney, I think, did a good job on him. Green, I think, is a really talented player, but they still, and some of this is by design because they would love to get Wembanyama. They just look like a JUCO team, don't they? I mean,
Totally.
they're running up and down the floor and throwing the ball all over the place sometimes. You can see the talent. So I think you're right. That's a great point. And that's why I think, okay, maybe you can downgrade the elephants, but there's still issues there. And if the Warriors don't defend better, last night they gave up 120 to a Rockets team that's not very good. They ain't going to come anywhere near accomplishing the things they need to accomplish.
Yes, they've held one opponent under 100 points all year, and that was San Antonio. And in a game, they won by 37. In a game, they were up by 41 when they finally were able to play James Wiseman. So this is not a team that is a defensive juggernaut. We know that. And if you look ahead, like New Orleans tonight, it's going to be a tough game. Tough game without Clay, and we don't know who else will sit. There's a likelihood that more players will sit on the second half of a back-to-back. And by the way, coming up, you've got the Clippers Wednesday, Utah Friday, and then you go at Minnesota and at Dallas. You got a little bit of a tough schedule ahead. So tonight might be one of those games that you just give up on, and then you've got 4 pretty tough Western Conference games ahead.
Yeah, and last night, Steph played 37 minutes, and I think he might have played even more than that against the Knicks. So hopefully he'll play, but I'd be surprised if he does. You're right, though. The fact that you had to struggle like that, you got your first road win, that's nice. But as I said earlier, in my opinion, the notion that, they've won 2 in a row, they had the meeting, they're good now, that's just a fantasy.
Agreed. Is this factor fantasy?
Whoa.
Thank you.
So what are the elephants remaining, or the mice in the kitchen, as you put it? Jordan Poole, certainly one of them.
Yes, absolutely. Like, which Jordan Poole are you going to get night to night? Is it the Jordan Poole that's going to be aggressive and trying to score and feeling good and money time, or the Jordan Poole who went 0 for 5? I think that was against Phoenix, where he just decided that he wasn't really interested in shooting the basketball. So why is Jordan Poole not playing with the same confidence and the same swagger as he did before? And the other elephant in the room is the second quarter. What happens? What the hell's going on in the second quarter to where you gave up a 13-0 run to Houston.
Right, and looked terrible in the process.
It should have been a 23-0 run, quite frankly. You can't defend. You can't score. What's going on with your bench team? That, to me, is the biggest elephant still in the room.
I agree, and there's really only so much you can do about that. You guys need to play better.
Right.
Okay.
You need to be better.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah. Jordan Poole, I think he's always going to be a somewhat streaky player, but whatever's going on with him right now is a big problem because they rely on him so much. And last night, Wiggins, as we said, picked up a lot of the three-point slack. But if Poole doesn't start playing better more consistently, that's going to be a problem too. Maybe it is the punch or lack of confidence or something. I don't know. Steve Kerr says, of course, that part of the problem for Poole is the fact that defenses now, they're focusing a lot more of their attention on Jordan Poole than they used to.
And that's fair. But if you're a good player, if you're an elite player, a player worth a contract as big as he got, you can find ways to get in your bag and still get buckets, right?
Yeah. Yep. 888-957-9570. The Warriors with their first road win. So, they're 8-9 now. They're not that far out of first place in the West, and they're playing better of late.
Half game out of the 10 seed right now. Almost to the play-in spot.
They're just a half game out of the play-in situation. But when you look at how they're doing it, obviously you'd rather win than not, but I think there's still a lot of work left to do here. What are some of the other mice in the kitchen? We mentioned the bench. Defensively, they're nowhere near where they need to be. Jordan Poole. And I still think it would be nice to have some size, at least at the end of the bench. I know they love to go small, and Looney plays well, and you got Green now. Both Greens playing some center. I just think it would be nice to have some size available to you. Wiseman was supposed to supply that, but he's obviously in Santa Cruz.
Right, and he doesn't seem like he's in Santa Cruz just for 10 days, and he'll be back in the rotation.
You were not impressed by his latest debut there.
No, it was okay. I mean, he showed signs of what he can be.
He made a three.
Offensively, he's got a nice array of things he can do. He can shoot the ball. He's got a nice stroke. He can't really post up. He can't really score with his back to the basket. He can't really beat you off the dribble. He's very long and athletic. He can dunk. We know that. He's not a great rebounder, Whitey. He doesn't, even against G League players, he was unable to get correct position or even fight when he didn't have good position to get under the hoop.
And I didn't see nearly as much of that game as you did. It looked to me like the team they were playing the Lakers team. Is that right? Or it's a Salt Lake? I don't know.
Yeah, the Lakers.
Lakers, thank you.
South Bay Lakers.
They didn't have a lot of size. And still James Wiseman, I mean, his rebound numbers were decent. Here's what he's supposed to be working on, according to his coaches down there. Gaining confidence, learning to finish at the rim, learning to play smart but solid defense, and learning to make better decisions. The rest of he made it 3. The Warriors, as far as they're concerned, if that boosts his confidence, that's a good thing, but we really don't want him shooting a lot of threes.
Right, and he seemed to me, as I was watching the game, it seemed to me like he was drifting out toward the three-point line a lot more than they would want, looking to get his shot off.
What he wants to do, right?
Yeah, and that's where I think he's comfortable as more of a small forward, but the Warriors need him to be a big man. They need him to play center, and that ultimately might be the disconnect that keeps him from being a part of this rotation.